Welcome, everybody, to the CrossFire podcast. I appreciate the audience hanging in there. We have got an outstanding show for you. We've got a packed panel. Really, really grateful to have everybody here tonight. This is it's a special night because a lot of things are going on. There's announcements. There's changes in the way things are recorded. There's a new console that kind of came out in one way, and a brand new game that's revitalized from an older game that we're going to get into that I think has got everybody just absolutely falling head over heels for. And without that being said, I've got the great Jay Matrix Gamer helping us tonight in the mod. He'll be here, and he's moving people over as we speak. And I got news for you. Couldn't do this without Jay. So shout out and check out Jay at JMatrix76 on Twitter. With that being said, I do want to start with the one, the only. He's in Florida, but he should be up north. Crap Gamer! Crap, how the hell you doing tonight? Not that Crap Gamer. I need the other Crap Gamer.
Crap Gamer.
Oh, we lost Crap.
The person you have reached, Crap Gamer, is not available.
That's great.
Crap hater reviews.
Jay, keep an eye on him. When he gets back in the waiting room, just bring him in. But I'll go to my next guy over there. He's on the beach. His feet are full of sand. Hopefully he's wearing sandals with more than just one toe exposed. It's Xbot448. Xbot, how the hell you doing tonight?
What is going on, brother? And I gotta say, being a new beach dweller, it's amazing where sand ends up on yourself.
I can't believe the pictures you and Mel are showing.
Yeah, it's freaking beautiful. I mean, I wish we got kind of like entered in here like the beginning of the summer or something like that, and you know we're able to spend like the entire summer by the beach, but we're gonna have to wait
By
until
the beach. Sorry,
right by the beach.
I can't not say that. Boy. Outstanding, man. Absolutely awesome. Hopefully, Crap, if you're in here, just shout out because I want to give you an intro again.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Crap, how the hell you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing okay. I can finally hear. I'm like all alone. I thought I couldn't hear anybody. So
You're with us now, buddy. You're with the whole party. How you doing?
I am. I
tonight,
can
buddy?
actually hear you. I'm doing good, man. I'm happy to be back and talk some games and stuff, man. I got a lot to say. So
Yeah, there's
let's
a lot
do it.
going on, Crap. Absolutely. And then I've got a lot of special guests here. Let me start with one that's a regular. He's becoming a regular. He's in New York, and like myself, it's Noximus. Nox, how you doing tonight, buddy?
A little deranged, Mooch. A little deranged. I'm on about 25 hours of being awake. Shit. But I'm glad to be here, man. I want to get this in. Let's go. Let's go. We
Awesome,
got Crap
buddy.
Gamer. We got Xbot. We got the Mooch. We got Pred. We got an awesome panel.
We got a great panel, and we got an outstanding. We've got a
Absolutely.
bunch of usual guests, and then we've got a special guest that I'll get to. But one of my other usuals, I got Predator H2O. Pred, how the hell you doing tonight?
Much better than yesterday, man. I tried to get on the show, Crap show yesterday, and he was like, "Nope, like you're sick, stay home."
It's not happening.
Got my voice back, got my voice back, so I'm feeling a lot better. So, but I did get some gaming in this week, so that's pretty cool.
Well, awesome to have you here, buddy. And let me just take a couple seconds here to introduce our special guest. First time on the show. We've hung out a lot in the DMs. We've talked video games and our schedules. You know, Friday nights are hard for a lot of people, especially when you're not a usual on Crossfire. That you set time aside for. But this guest is known very well for being in the inner circle, part of the Tick podcast. Nicholas Downey, you guys know him as Undead on Twitter. Nick, welcome finally to Crossfire, buddy. I can't say how great it is an honor to have you here. Your writing is known round Twitter in the gaming community. So how the hell are you, and what's been up?
Oh, it's glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. And I'm, of course, the guy that people hate on a bi-weekly basis, depending on what I write. So...
Well,
yes.
you're in great company then, Nick. Welcome to our world. Yeah, it's good to be here. I'll tell you, you're going to fit in just well. Listen, we've got a lot of great subjects going on tonight, and I got to be honest with you. I'm a bit like there's usually a hot subject, and you say, okay, let's talk about that. I'm going to go into this. I have it as my main subject line. I made it my own thumbnail. I've got to be honest with you guys. The Last of Us 2 at State of Play. How is it that Sony can keep doing this every week? I don't understand how they can have one tweet and everybody else stops. Right?
Greatness. That's all it is. It's greatness.
Great?
You can't stop the greatness that is Sony. They at every turn, they're great. And
Of
that's
course they
that's
are.
just That's just a running theme for them this entire generation. It's not just a tagline, right? It's greatness, man. Greatness. That's their
I wouldn't
thing,
say
man. They
entire generation, brother.
oh, this entire just save the first year and a half, 2
They piled
years.
up a bunch of games with delays.
Hey,
and
alls I
everything.
know, alls I
Looked
know
like
is
they
the next.
came out year after year, like
Alls
crazy.
I know is the next 15 months. There's 0 AAA Xbox exclusives, and there's a lot of
You knew that
AAA
before
PlayStation
time, brother.
exclusives.
A lot.
Oh man, hey,
I don't think
whose
we
fault
have
is that, man? Whose fault is that?
for Death Stranding, but that's pretty much it right now, brother.
Well, they're gonna announce the greatest game of the generation, overtaking God of War with The Last of Us 2. They're gonna announce the release date to that at this state of
Crap.
play.
Do you think The Last of Us 2, in all honesty, though, do you think The Last
I
of
think
Us
that
2,
game's gonna sell 15, 20 million easy.
I do think it's going to absolutely do gangbusters. But do you think it'll
Yeah.
overcome? Will it overcome what is God of War?
I think so. I think people have been waiting a very long time for that game. I think they're doing everything they need to. And I made a bold prediction earlier. I said there's going to be more people actively playing the multiplayer on that game than Gears of War. You know, I feel like Gears of War.
You are funny, dude.
No, I feel like Gears.
You are funny,
I feel like
man.
Well,
usually within a month or two, people are already off of Gears.
Listen,
They're down
listen.
to about 10,000 or so.
Listen, I'll tell you something, crap. I think yeah, and this is gonna be tough for me to say, but for real, everybody knows The Last of Us to me was one of the most underrated multiplayers. It was a freaking excellent multiplayer that a lot of people overlooked. If they just expand on that, it can overtake Gears because I am enjoying Gears and they've made some refinements that a lot of the diehards that I roll with are like, yo, I'm not feeling that Knox. I'm not feeling what they're doing. I'm not feeling, subtle changes. I know they don't get used to them and shit like that, but yeah, I think The Last of Us 2 multiplayer, if they really put something into that, it could be big because it was excellent. It was excellent in part 1. If they expand on it, it can be super excellent in part 2.
Looking
Knox,
forward to it.
I respect your opinion and everything like that, but let's be honest here. When it comes down to it, Gears. First off, Gears is known for their multiplayer, and there's a lot of diehard Gears people out there. Not only that, but there's nothing that Sony has like Game Pass or something like that will have active users that didn't necessarily pay the $60 for it or whatnot that will stay in there and keep grinding out that multiplayer, playing the horde mode, playing you got to account for that if you're talking like active users, man.
Well, but you know what? With active users and with Game Pass, you run the risk of somebody like me saying, well, you know what? I don't feel like paying $9.99 this month, therefore I'm out. Right? When on PlayStation side of things, they're gonna sell, like Crap just said, they're gonna sell gangbusters. Mooch just said it, I think, and that is gonna happen. And that's already going to give them the incentive to want to sit there and embrace that multiplayer, especially if it's good. It can definitely make an impact, is what I'm saying. And I see the potential.
I got you, but like what I'm saying, and another thing is, I'm not saying The Last of Us is going to be a bad game. Last of Us 2, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game.
There's no way.
The first one was not my cup of tea. All right, it really wasn't. I'm putting that out there. It just really wasn't. When I first got the PS4, that was The Last of Us Remastered. It was one of the games like we had to have in the house, and it started really good, and then it just dropped off a cliff. Then they're like, all right, well now we're slowing down real quick.
My buddy Valentin in the chat, he says here, super chat, he says, in the entire history of Xbox, in the entire history of E3, who am I? We've never played a game with the audience like this. It's great. I think he's maybe he's referring to Phil. I don't know who he's referring to, but Valentin, let me know who the answer is. Let me just ask Nick a question. Nick, because you're new to Crossfire, by all means, just jump in. When you got something to say, just jump in. But what is your take here now? You've got a state of play next week. I believe it's next Tuesday, and it's literally the same day that is inside Xbox. And Sony has this way of they didn't show up to E3, yet they still killed E3 with a couple of tweets. And now here they are, they do it again. What's your take on this whole thing, and how big of an impact is The Last of Us 2 when it comes down to it for this generation?
Well, if we're talking in terms of, we're talking late in the generation. So like Sony with The Last of Us Part 2, they're not necessarily looking to sell PS4s at this point. They've already sold their PS4s.
True.
But the thing is with a game like The Last of Us Part 2, when we're talking in terms of sales, it's going to outpace God of War. I definitely believe that. And I think it will be on par with Spider-Man out the gate at this point. I think it's going to take a while for it to sell. I do agree with Crap. I do think it will sell 15, 20 million copies, but I think it'll be a slow burn to get there. I think they'll sell a ton out the gate, and then very similar to the last one, it'll build as it goes because it'll become that game that you buy the console for, right?
Yes.
And in terms of the multiplayer, like when you're doing the Gears versus Last of Us comparison, I don't like doing the comparison because I play Gears for different reasons than I play The Last of Us. The Last of Us has a fantastic campaign, and that's why I bought the game. That's the reason I bought the game, was for the campaign. And the fact it had a great multiplayer was just a bonus. Whereas with Gears, I buy that predominantly for the multiplayer because I'm more of a Gears multiplayer guy than I'm a single-player guy.
So
I just find
if the campaign is good, then that's a bonus for you on the Gear side, right?
Bingo. Like if the campaign's good, cool. I buy Gears because I really enjoy the player, and that's why I play that. The Last of Us, I buy it for the story, Naughty Dog storytelling and their development.
Well, let me just tell you, Nick, I can put your worries to rest. If they're going to go ahead and take what The Last of Us multiplayer was and add to it, hopefully they don't change it and not put the. I want the same multiplayer but expanded, larger, bigger, more crafting. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That
Yep,
is
absolutely.
I mean, listen, here's something you never hear Mooch say. You just don't hear me say it. But The Last of Us multiplayer was one of my favorite multiplayers of last gen. Period. Hands down. So
yeah, absolutely. The thing is it did, the whole basis of how that multiplayer was done was very unique for the time period that was done. And to this day, there's not too many multiplayers that do the same things that The Last of Us multiplayer do. The only thing Naughty Dog could honestly do to screw up the multiplayer was, and it's I don't know this from experience because I don't play Uncharted multiplayer, but apparently they made some mistakes with Uncharted 4 in terms of balancing the multiplayer, and people got really pissed off with that. So if they can keep the balance well, add a few things, it's going to be a smash hit. Like I honestly believe some people will buy The Last of Us Part 2 based on the fact they love the multiplayer.
And you know what, Nick? I'll tell you something. You know, for that comparison you made, the difference is that the Uncharted multiplayer really tries to mimic Gears, and it does a poor job at it. In my opinion, in all honesty, it does a poor job. But The Last of Us, on the other hand, brought something new and refreshing, a new aspect to multiplayer that we haven't really seen. All we get is like Call of Duty, right? Battlefield, you know, Gears, Halo. Those are the multiplayers we get, the traditional shit. Gears, The Last of Us brought a very new dynamic. That it was very well done, very underrated freaking multiplayer, man. I hope they expand on it because it got potential to be awesome.
Absolutely, and like the Last of Us multiplayer, I've always had a huge appreciation for it because one of the guys I went to school with ended up working for Naughty Dog and worked on the multiplayer side of The Last of Us, and they really do care about that side of the game. Like some games, like one remembers in the Xbox 360 era and the PS3 era, every game had a multiplayer tacked on, and 9 times out of 10, it was either dead 3 weeks later or never got updates, or it was just terrible. But The Last of Us, it felt like they actually cared about the multiplayer, and that's the thing, is like, it's why I like games like Gears, Halo. The Last of Us is great for it as well, is that there's a real good balance of care between both the single player and the multiplayer experience. And hell, if for $60 I can get a great campaign and a great multiplayer, I'm sold 100%.
No, I completely agree. Let me just take care of the super chat here. Shout out to Brap, who's here. Enrique, he says, active users, is Microsoft reporting that anymore? Now, Enrique, I never like to shelf a question, but that's going to be probably the meat and potatoes today.
They are marketing it still,
I don't want to get there yet, but thank you, Enrique. I appreciate the super chat. And then Daniel Gonzalez says, unpopular opinion, Phil Spencer needs to go. That's probably also going to come up, Daniel, just in topic and passing, right? Not that it's a main subject by no means. And then
not that it ever comes up, right?
No, it just once in a blue moon. Caleb Hunter says, did you buy Gears 1 for the multiplayer or the single player? Now, I'll answer that, and then I want to hear the panel. Great question, by the way. I personally bought Gears, and I always play Gears for the campaign. That's me. Gears multiplayer is the additional. Like, it's always good. It's good. It's fun. But by no means is it like I come home, have Gears, and run to the multiplayer. I immediately hit start campaign. And then when I'm done with the campaign, I work my way. Go ahead, Xbot.
Yeah, no, I will say, first off, I didn't buy Gears. All right.
No
I
one
got
did.
it through. I got it through Game Pass, but the reason why I was excited about it was the single player campaign.
Absolutely.
When it comes down to it, I'll go in and I'll play Horde with a bunch of friends and stuff like that and have a lot of fun. To me, the PvP is way too sweaty in Gears. Like there's so many people who take that to heart so much, man, bouncing their ass off of walls, banging each other out with shotguns, and they really get into it. So I'm more of a Halo guy when it comes to PvP, but I'll go into Horde. But I was really excited for the single player campaign. I beat it all single player. I didn't even do co-op. Like I wanted to experience it. I wanted to have all the cutscenes without anybody talking over it. I really wanted to see what they had to offer with the story this time.
Do you think that Microsoft has the right point of view? I mean, listen, this is something that I'm even guilty of. So I got my hand in the air, and I'm saying I'm guilty of it, okay? I was saying that Microsoft is always well known for their multiplayer, and that's why people go to Microsoft. That's why people predominantly play on Xbox's Xbox Live, the service, the multiplayer. But you know what's funny is it seems like, do you guys see a change? Do you guys see a bit of a change? People are sick of Call of Duty. Like, even though everyone's excited for this new one, they're already kind of sick of it. They're like, I'm shooting right through the guy again. My hit detection sucks. Everyone's already kind of getting angry a little bit. And now
That's
you see,
a Call of Duty exclusive, by the way.
but like Nick was saying too, like you already have Gears where it was like just blowing up the first 48 hours on Twitch, etc. And now it's dwindled down on Twitch, and you don't see you see what I'm saying? Now it seems like the single player games have that longevity. We're talking about story. And we're talking about process for months. Nick, do you see where I'm going with that?
That's exactly Microsoft's low points, though.
That's where I'm going. Is that an issue now?
Oh, it's always been an issue because they've done piss poor with single player stuff. Like their single player stuff is garbage. I bought the original Gears of War for the campaign. I didn't even start getting into the multiplayer until I think late in the second one, and then I started to really like it. With the newest one, I know a lot of people don't understand, but there's so many changes. The forced crossplay, I don't plan on actually going back into the multiplayer again. I've never even went back to beat the game. I got stuck. I had to reset my progress multiple times. Good game, but again, if it would have launched without any bugs and stuff, and the option to disable crossplay, I think it would have been
one glitch, brother.
There's
been fine.
There's a lot of people on Twitter today saying to me, Mooch, I still haven't gotten my achievements for finishing the game. I'm still waiting for certain achievements to pop. I don't know if they will pop, and
they might not.
No, they might not, and that's definitely happened to me on Halo Master Chief Collection, where I did something when they were still having issues, and then after they fixed it, they're like, everything's fixed. I'm like,
that's what they get for hiring Naughty Dog's janitors. I'm telling you.
Well, Mooch, my whole thing here, when you're talking about single player, all of a sudden, kind of like turning the corner and being the one with longevity, just look at the top 10, 20, 30 games on each platform, and all you'll see are multiplayer centric games. So I don't know where you're coming from with this. Now, single player experiences have gotten a lot of acclaim and reviews.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean that Microsoft is necessarily. I mean, crap took the conversation went one way, but I'm not saying that it's necessarily. I'm seeing a trend of downward spiral. Like right now, Fortnite. Like look at what we say. Gears beat Fortnite. Like Borderlands beat Fortnite. So it seems like Fortnite and Apex keep going back and forth in that battle royale world. And then you have
free to play, brother. Free to play multiplayer, and has a huge, especially with Fortnite, has a huge kind of like 12-year-old player base as well that will just repeatedly go in.
Well, Bot, you have Ash and Luke. Shout out to the Ash and Luke who says, "Wow, lucky Bot, there were bugs in my game." I mean, I had issues.
You should have played with me, Luca.
Yeah, I had a shitload of bugs in mine.
Pred, what are your experiences, and what's your take on the whole Last of Us 2?
See, I didn't play Last of Us. We talked about this, I think, last week, and I hadn't played it. But I will pick up Last of Us 2, and I might even go back and get Last of Us the original just because you guys are hyping it up so much. So I didn't play it. But I do see the lore of it. Like a lot of people have talked about this game. It's like you hear enough people talking about it, you're like, damn, why haven't I played this yet? So that's the boat I'm in right now. So I definitely need to check that first one out before I get the second one. But as far as I think what Crap was saying is like it overtaking Gears with multiplayer. I didn't even know it had multiplayer in it, to be honest with you.
Well, you know, I mean, that, don't
So-
get me wrong.
It had very popular multiplayer,
did.
and not only did it have popular multiplayer, I can remember back in the day, the heyday of Gears of War. It has a very dedicated fan base, but that fan base that played the hardcore Gears player, numbers in the thousands. It's like 20,000, 25,000. It's not like some million plus people that are playing that multiplayer. That's what I'm trying to say. Not only that, but you have more people paying to play online on PlayStation, right? 37, 38 million PlayStation Plus subscribers. We have no idea how many Xbox Live Gold subscribers there. Could be 10 million. We don't know.
I never knew
I'm
you were interested in Xbox Live Gold subscriptions, dude.
Oh, I would love to know. Wouldn't you love to know how many people are actually actively using it? Like
Are we
the
going
reason
there
why.
already? Are we going there already?
I guess
Well,
we're
I'm
going in
just
there,
saying-
right?
I'm just saying, like
that's the metric, right? That's the metric.
every platform uses that. Like Steam, how many Steam users they have? Like that's you go, oh well, there's so many people that play that, now and PlayStation's like we had 94 million active users
Yeah.
and 38 million paying PlayStation Plus subscribers, and Microsoft's like Phil Spencer 2 years.
Uh-oh.
Well, we
Oh,
lost
what
that.
happened there? What
lost crap.
happened? That's
Oh,
so weird.
He went in a tunnel, dog.
We lost crap. Would you,
Phil
well,
cut
let
his
me
ass.
let me do this. Let me ask our special
Yo, that
guest,
was
Nick,
Phil, yo.
and then I'll go to Knox because I know Knox is just chomping at the bit to get in on this too. But Nick, I mean, this is the second or third time that Xbox has changed the metric, changed the way that they want to report things. And a lot of people that are definitely on the Xbox camp are saying things along the line of that's how they want to present it. That's how they want to issue it to their investors. So be it. I don't really have an argument with that because, frankly, that's their business and none of our business. But at the same time, you do see that the competitors in Nintendo and Sony have no problem constantly reporting numbers, and everybody else has no issue doing this. We still see GTA 5 in the top 10 every NPD, right? So here we are again. Nick, what's your take when you see Microsoft? Some people would say move the goalposts, right? Is this an issue to be alarmed at because they see that now even the active users are dropping, so that's something that they're alarmed and they don't want to report? What's your take?
See, my takeaway with this is like Microsoft as a whole company has strategically shifted in how they handle things from 2013 when the Xbox One launched to now. And I don't necessarily think how they're reporting their numbers is wrong because they've kind of changed how they plan to make money. Game Pass is a huge change to the formula of console gaming. So if they have to report the numbers differently to show investors this is a different kind of investment, I kind of get that. But at the same time, you don't have to stop talking about the other numbers either.
Right.
And that's the thing is like, look, I don't use VG charts because it's inaccurate as hell and it can be misleading.
Absolutely.
But if you look at VG charts, even if they're off by, say, 5,000, 10,000 units on everything, that's still painting a certain picture.
Yes.
And that's the thing is like, I would rather Microsoft own the fact they can't get consoles out the door than not. Because like Nintendo, even through the Wii U era, went, yeah, we only sold like 11 million of these things. Like they own that mistake. And like when people say Xbox One needs to end, like this generation needs to end for Microsoft, they need a clean slate. I absolutely agree with that. But at the same time, you need to 100% own the mistakes that you have made this generation. And I think that if they came out with numbers, like if they just announced we only sold 42 million Xbox Ones, I'd be like, all right, cool. And I'd move on with my life. And I think that's the thing. I think there's more anger and people getting really upset about it because we don't know. Versus if you just give out the numbers, people will laugh about it for a week and then forget about it.
See, this is what I think is going down. No, seriously, this is Microsoft's attempt, this is Microsoft's strategy to beguile both the consumer base and their investors as well, right? That's why they got to switch these numbers and these metrics and the way they gauge stuff, right? They have to present it in a way where their investors are going to feel very confident. I mean, they're one of the big boys, right? They're ultra cap, but whatever, right? Like they still have to present it. They still have to be showing growth, and they got to show it by one dynamic or another.
That they are moving towards.
Yes, but at the same time, Microsoft is pulling the wool over the eyes of both their consumer base and their investors as well. They're not giving any of us Because they're not giving the numbers that are satisfactory. They go with what
Dude.
works at the moment. Oh, active users are on a decline. We'll go to whatever other metric.
They've already talked about the base of how many people are on Xbox Live, their consumer base and everything like that. So if they had those numbers and they're now in financial reports,
these numbers have to be reported every year, bro.
Let me finish. Financial reports that the shareholders definitely, that's what they look at and everything like that. If they're showing growth in areas, you already know what they started with by their previous financial report. So now every time they're talking growth, they pretty much know the numbers that are coming in. If they report an 18% growth in how many people are active users on Xbox Live, they already knew the base number to that to add that 18% to. It's really like you don't know what's going on between Microsoft, the corporation, and its shareholders. That they're like, all right, this is our baseline, and now we're going to be reporting growth off of that. That's
Hey, Xbox. You're full of shit though, because you've been talking about monthly active users for years now.
And
that's the big metric. Monthly active users. Go ahead.
I can answer that for you. I'm not saying that they're not taking the active users out of their marketing. The stuff that you were talking about. Oh, so many million people shot a pineapple out of a cannon. They're going to keep using stuff like that.
What you need to ask is why they're taking it out. Well, that's what you need. Why are
they're trying to hide? They're trying to.
They're not doing it for nothing. They're not doing it for any reason. They're not doing it for any reason.
One at a time, fellas. One at a time. One at a time.
You asked why, and then you're going to give me the
answer. Right? It's CrossFire, but we want to hear these cross. We want to see these shots. Go ahead. So what is Xbox? Finish your thought.
Hold on, I forgot because I what was your question again, Knox?
I said you got to ask the question, why do they want to switch the way they gauge metrics? And
because the backbone of Xbox moving forward is Game Pass. That's why.
Then why not let it gradually just progress into that and switch the metric then casually? Why just abruptly?
They want to be first.
Wait, may I? Let me interject real quick here. My interjection is this.
Three changes in the metric in 4 years.
That's unacceptable.
They're hiding stuff.
First,
they're
that's
hiding
odd
it from their investors.
Second of all, why don't they have a number out to tell us how many Game Pass subscribers do they actually have? If that's what they want to change to. They won't say that either. So
here's a better question.
Go ahead, Nick.
Here's a better question for you. If we always compare with Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, we've traditionally compared success via console sales and who's a paying subscriber, right? That's been the base metric since forever.
Right.
So now the way Microsoft has set up their metrics, it's more in line to how Steam keeps their metrics versus how a console manufacturer does their metrics.
Okay.
So what I'm pitching on this is Microsoft is more focused on the service side of things. And I'm not going to sit here and defend how Microsoft presents their metrics, but how they present their metrics is they're including PC in this, they're including Xbox gamers in this. It's a branching metric because thing is are they going to go, okay, so we've got 40 million people on Xbox, and then we got 22 million people on PC, and that metric.
They were already combining it.
Yeah, no. That's what I mean. Those they're combining that to make the numbers look inflated. Everyone's signed into Xbox once on their PC at least.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is
I haven't, but.
Age of Empires, man, I can't help myself.
Well, let me, Nick, Enrique asked a question in the super chat, and I'll ask it to Nick and Pred then. Basement Arcade Radio says active users though is part of their new strategy, isn't it? That's what he's saying. So if that was part of their new strategy, this is kind of confusing that now they're saying it's not anymore. So
what Phil Spencer do we believe? 2 years ago he said, that's how you tell a healthy ecosystem. He said, quote unquote, his partners want to know the monthly active users. And so now all of a sudden his partners don't want to know. It's suspicious as hell. If you trust Phil Spencer, I don't know what's wrong with you, but get your head checked.
Well,
what do you think,
I
Brad?
think that a lot of people are not thinking about
we're talking about the financial report though.
Wait, look, can I finish?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So people aren't investing in Microsoft because of Xbox. They're investing in Microsoft because of everything else in Microsoft. Xbox is a small division. So like getting hyped up over these user base numbers and stuff like that is only hiding things from the Xbox side. But like if I was an investor, I would not be concerned about just the Xbox portion of it. I'd be more concerned about like the other stuff that they do with Microsoft. Like, so for me, like this is like, okay, even if they're like doing shitty, like completely shitty,
Right.
I'm not investing in Microsoft just for Xbox. They have so much other stuff under their hat. Now for us gamers, like, yeah, we're looking at this like, why are you hiding these numbers? And I don't understand it, to be honest with you. I'm interested in seeing what their report is going to be. I think it comes out the 25th of October.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So like here's where you get your good information from, not just the slides. Listen to the questions they ask at the end. Like if you actually listen to these investor relation meetings, listen to the questions they ask. Like I want to say last quarter, and I listen to these every year. Last quarter was the first time I've heard anybody even ask a question about Xbox. At the end, they're asking about other shit like like games.
Predator, what is it they said their new metric is going to be? It's going to be revenue, total revenue, or revenue percentage increase.
I don't remember. They said something about.
There was a few people that were.
Well, they're lumping it.
Xbox content and subscription growth.
Yeah.
Hey, to hide the decline of the overall stuff like hardware sales and stuff, they're lumping it in with Azure and the cloud and all that kind of stuff.
So you can't look back. That number is always going to increase.
Yeah, exactly. So they're hiding it behind that, and I mean it's pretty clear to see. Just like they were adding everything together. So many people believe that there was 67 or 75 million paying Xbox Live Gold members. Like when you tell them no, they're adding everything together. Anybody that used a phone to play Minecraft or a Switch to play Minecraft or whatever, they count as a monthly active user, right? Like people they're blown away by that because they think that Microsoft shares those numbers. No, Sony were the ones that the only ones that share their numbers for active subscribers to their online network. So yeah, you can't really trust Microsoft. Like I get what they're trying to do. They got a 15-month lull between their next console and between their next AAA game. Like it's going to get worse before it gets better.
I forget asking Enrique out there, man. Good thing,
I mean there are, but I mean I don't need an Xbox surely to play that.
But
hold on, let me take your.
Play that.
I got
if
a bunch of.
You have an Xbox, you have entertainment coming.
Well, hardly anybody has an Xbox. Wouldn't you like it better if they had big exclusives?
Over 40 million people is not hard.
No fucking way. No fucking way. And Xbox, are you saying you wouldn't prefer if they had big bangers?
Dude, there's a launch lineup coming in 2020.
Whoa. No, that's not what I said. Would you prefer that they have big bangers? Yes or no? Big AAA exclusives.
I don't want them to follow Sony's blueprint.
What?
No, I don't.
So you're okay. You're okay with no. I didn't say that. I just said, would you be okay with them having big AAA AAA exclusive? No, I'm saying AAA exclusives, man. Are you saying you're okay without them having any of those?
For this 15
the next 15 months, yes.
I look at my entire experience.
You know,
crap.
You know Xbox answer. Xbox not looking at the situation the same way that you are.
Crap. I'm not sitting here sweating in the corner because it's like, oh my goodness, 15 months and no AAA. Last time I checked, my Xbox does play multi-plats that I like to play.
It does, but you certainly don't need one for it.
I'm getting excited for Battletoads. I'm getting excited for Bleeding Edge.
See, he likes that. Listen, he likes those games. I gotta tell you, Xbox like the best neighbor to ever have. I hope whoever's next to you on the beach likes Xbox. It's Xbox.
But you gotta understand, there's a reason why Xbox sells less and less, and they're doing worse and worse. They're not announcing it. People expecting this big launch lineup for the next
generation. When they were announcing exclusives through second-party deals and stuff like that, those games got put through the absolute ringer.
That's true.
I'm surprised.
You are very happy taking 3 exclusive games and just talking about them over and over again and completely neglecting the entire generation. And what has happened, dude?
Hey, as far as I can tell, Sony didn't fucking stop making games for 3 years. Okay, that was Microsoft.
No, they pushed back. They kept pushing them back until all of a sudden you start.
But they've
Well, hold
released
on.
games they've released huge games every single year. Look, so not only did we get shit games this entire generation, 3-year period where they didn't release
agree with you that we got shit
3
games
years.
this
3
entire
years. Well, the
generation.
Metacritic says differently. 3 years of no.
Let's go by
Hey.
all hail Metacritic. I
Hey,
didn't know that we
listen,
had
Xbot, I
found
can beat
out.
any argument you have because everybody knows
I'm
it.
just
They
saying.
were releasing trash games. They stopped creating games. They canceled games. They closed studios. Now they're closing the goddamn generation with 15 months of no fucking AAA exclusives, and that's okay with you? Get the fuck out of here.
Hey, how come there's so many F-bombs on my show and none on yours? Listen, hold on a second. I got some super chats here. Hold on real quick.
All right, let's do
Hold
it.
It's
up.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Come
I
on.
hear you. I hear you. Emmanuel here in the chat. He says, "Gotta show some love for my man Mooch. Is there any way Dirk Griggity can join? I like his positive Xbox takes. Griggity's just relaxing until next Wednesday. Believe
He's
me,
recovering.
He's recovering right now. But shout out to Dirk Griggity, awesome guy. Failed Pyromancer says they need to switch the metrics because it needs to look a good in any way, shape, or form to spin it to the investors. And
I love
comparable
exactly
numbers
what Predator,
don't
what
look
Predator
good.
said about that is pretty much spot on.
And then
Like,
somebody
it's-
said, I believe, I can't find her here, but I think it said before Predator podcast, he needs to have a Snickers.
Predator made a
Shout out to
whole
Emmanuel.
bunch of sense, and it's funny because when it comes down to it, he made the most sense out of everything that's going on. Nobody wants to touch what he said because it's pretty much true. Let's be real.
He said that they were hiding stuff.
Of course, it is true. What Press
Yeah,
said
that is
absolutely
true.
He
He's right.
said when you look at their meeting and everything like that, the first thing that the biggest thing is
Xbox is in last place. It's the
Oh,
last
oh my
thought from
goodness.
major investors. I get it. I think that's what he said.
Yeah, they don't even think about that when it comes to the Microsoft kind of like financial report. Not until last year did he actually hear one question. And if anybody out there questions what Predator does, he is about that business side of things, man. He is all over the business side of gaming and beyond.
Yeah, well,
Like y'all talk about me, but I'm right here.
And he
so.
said that they're hiding stuff.
He's like, I'm right here. I'm in the chat.
Right
I'm in the
here.
panel.
Giving you praise, brother.
Mr. Twister says Crap's dumping truth bombs. I'll tell you. Listen,
Really?
Crap. Well, here's the thing. Let me just say this much. Let me
I
say
know
this.
about
Let
that.
me. Xbot, let me speak for Crap for a second because
Hey,
I gotta be honest
hold
with
on.
you.
How is that not the truth? They're not releasing a AAA exclusive for 15 months.
No,
They
you said
stopped
they're
creating.
all trash games, man. All that.
I said
is
this
not
this generation
true. This generation,
completely.
they
Well, let me
were
do
a
this.
ton of trash
Hold on.
games. Hey,
They were.
Let me
a
get-
ton of trash games. Yeah,
I want to
come
get
on,
listen.
out of here.
Listen. I love what you guys are doing, honestly, because you know what? It gets everybody else that's on the panel being like,
CrossFire.
I never thought about it that way. Right? Exactly. Nick, real quick. I know. Welcome to your first time on CrossFire. This is what it's all about. But Nick, it's funny because I was talking to Jay just a second ago. He goes, "Wow, this is something." I go, "This is just CrossFire." My point being is this. Nick, when you hear this and you say, okay, you do know where Crap's coming from, and I think you know where Xbot's coming from, there really is a line to be drawn in the sand here. I mean, there really is. To go 15 months without that AAA big wowzer, right? When we know we've got Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us 2, you've got, Concrete Genie's not a big-time banger, but let's be honest, it's another one they're going to tout and talk about, plus some VR games. Then all of a sudden you turn over, you got Bleeding Edge, and you got Ori, and you got to wait until Halo. Nick, where do you stand on, and don't get me wrong, it's not console war, it's console discussion. Where are you as a consumer when you see you have an Xbox that you have to wait 15 months for a AAA big boy to come out, and yes, you'll have Ori in between, but does that satisfy you? Is that enough to fill the gap?
See, and this is the thing, is like, this always sounds like I'm deflecting the whole picking favorites thing, but
It's not a
play
favorite,
so
it's
much
how you
across-
feel.
Like, I got an X, I did the whole upgrade thing.
Yep.
I hit the point where I wanted to sell my Xbox in 2017 because it was like, this sucks. There's nothing really doing it for me. Like, I'm a huge fan of things like State of Decay 2 was one of my favorite games this generation.
Okay.
I love State of Decay as a franchise, but
God bless you.
but there's an important thing to realize is that there's a huge quality gap between that. Just because I love State of Decay 2, I'm not going to sit there and go, it's the best game ever. No, I really enjoyed that game. And that's the thing, is like, there's been, when I first bought my PS4, I bought it for Horizon Zero Dawn, and that game put me to sleep. But I bought a bunch of other games with it that I really enjoyed. So it's like, it's a trade-off. And like Xbox's whole, we're holding games back until the next console, not a great idea when you haven't exactly been pleasing the large consumer base. And that's the thing, is like, people can be happy with their console purchase. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you why you should ditch your Xbox for a PC.
No.
But the thing is if someone also goes up to me and goes, hey, I'm not going to buy an Xbox. I already have a really great PC to play all this stuff on. Rock on, dude. Play the games you want to enjoy on the platforms you have.
Well,
I'm
and
100%.
that's the big difference, Nick, because I really want to hop on what you're saying there because that makes a lot of sense. Crap's point is well taken, and I do myself personally. I feel a little bit more like Crap, and only Xbox. Let me explain. If you go back in time when people used to say, "Oh, Sony's E3 was way better than Xbox's," they've got Call of Duty on stage, they've got Star Wars on stage. I used to be like, dude, those games are coming to Xbox. So that's not really impressing me. So my point is this. When we talk about third-party games, yeah, we could sit here and talk about resolution all day if we want to. That's fine. That's a different discussion. But I leave the third-party stuff out because everybody gets to play that.
Well,
it really does come...
Again, when it comes down to it, first-party games give a console its personality. I have said that all the way through. I've been one of the most consistent people on YouTube when it comes down to
That's right, Xbot.
All right?
Yes.
But when you look at the games that are most actively played on any platform, your top 10 and top 20 are all multiplats. All of them are multiplats. So guess what?
That's fine. Okay, so Xbot, so hear me out. Xbot.
Playing their games.
I'm going to agree with you, but what I'm going to do with that though is I'm going to say, okay, now we're back at 0. You just said on both consoles,
that's
right?
what multiplats does.
So now we're back at 0. Right, we're back at 0. So now we're back to what? The exclusives.
Look, I'm gonna pitch it this way. If I buy a PS4, I can player games there in the top 20 plus all the first party stuff Sony puts out. And then with Microsoft, I can play all those third party games.
Yep.
Plus whatever their first party puts out.
Exactly.
Now, I'm interested in the future of what Microsoft's first party is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't sold me on a $500 console again.
Right,
I
that's
the question. I respect your decision on that, but also, people also should respect my decision.
Absolutely, Xbot.
I feel like going into 2020, and me as a gaming YouTuber, all right, take my gaming hobby and lifestyle aside. This coming year, there's going to be a lot of information about new hardware and stuff like that I'm going to be getting into while I'm playing games. And this isn't for everybody. This is for the YouTubers out there. So when it comes to me and what's going within these 15 months that, Crap is talking about, for me as a YouTube gamer, all right, I'm going to be getting information on the new hardware. I'm going to be able to put out content with that. Not only that, I will also be playing games, and the games that are going into Game Pass, any other games that I want to possibly buy that aren't in Game Pass as well, I'm going to be using my system all the way through this, and I'm excited to see what the launch lineup is going to be for the Scarlet, because I feel that Halo Infinite is going to come out of the box, and it's going to come out of the box.
Do me a favor. Xbox, I want you to hold that thought, because honestly, we're going to come back to that. Let me just say shout out to the Ash and Luca, my New York. She says, drop in support. Crappy's on fire. We love to see it. I love the energy, boys. You all are making interesting points. Thank you, Luca. Busta Move says, Sony showed that being aggressive with exclusives can save a gen with the PS3. Microsoft have only showed how to sync further with a bad launch this gen. And then I've got one more here from my buddy Judah Zuck. He says, exclusives sell consoles. It's that simple. Sony has exclusives, and what do you know? They sell a lot of consoles. Microsoft have 0 exclusives
so does
and
the
sell
Switch.
barely any consoles. Right, exactly.
Look what everybody's talking about today. Link's
I
Awakening and Last of Us 2.
work to go buy Link's Awakening, and I even bought the
Nintendo
Nintendo thing,
because
right?
it's impossible to mooch Switch games.
You can't mooch a Switch game. It's like breaking into Knox.
Dude, you know what's funny about this? It's amazing how tides turn, because last year, with not last year, but in between generation, the whole Wii U thing, all right, Wii U had a ton of exclusives. It didn't sell the console, though. What was the biggest gripe? There was no third-party support.
It wasn't just third-party support. That was confusing.
The problem with the Wii U, too, was the fact that they would go months upon months without a first-party game. They released good ones, but it took time, and they didn't have that third-party support to fill it out. Microsoft's benefit is they get most of the third-party games, plus they had to fill in the gaps and everything else, whereas with the Wii U, it would be a great Nintendo game because Nintendo just doesn't put out bad games. Like, let's face it, fellas. Even like you can go back 3 generations and you're not going to find
I'm
it bad.
just pointing to the fact that, like, people say that exclusives sell. Well, there is at least one kind of like example of a console that did have quality exclusives. Granted, time in between that or whatever, but at the end of the day, those exclusives didn't sell that console. I mean, there's an example right there.
Yeah, but there was
You're
a lot
talking
of
about a console, first of all, that was very confusing. People thought it was just an add-on for the Wii. They called it a Wii U. I mean, come on. So there was that problem as well. I looked at that as kind of a mid-gen upgrade to the Wii that didn't really pan out.
The way you
Their
look at
timing
it
was
and
off.
the way it is are two totally different things. Brother.
Yeah, but you're trying to say, well, this had exclusives and didn't sell, but we can look at the PS4 and the But we can look at the PS4 and the Switch and conclusively say that those things sold way more than the Xbox One because of exclusives.
The Switch is a handheld, man.
It's not, though. I mean, they have a handheld version now, but guess what?
The original
People are going out
was
there.
a handheld, man. What are you talking about?
It was a hybrid, and it passed up the Xbox in sales in 2 years. I mean, that's.
I can say it again.
That's saying something.
Apple's tablet is a hybrid.
Why is the Xbox not selling then?
I just said, over 40 million is not bad, man.
It's terrible.
Especially with
they had 90 million.
Well, you know what, Late?
They had 90 million.
Crap.
They went from 90 million to under 40 million. That's terrible.
It wasn't a good generation for them, but with all that being,
why wasn't it a good generation? Because of the lack of exclusives, the lack of content,
the
lack
was
of
the
hype.
only reason why. There was nothing else. Crap.
Hey, they fixed
to the middle of the generation.
Xbox. They reversed the total course of all the stuff they announced before the console even came out. They dropped the price to match the PS4 and removed Kinect 5 months after the console came out. What else could they implemented all these things?
Done it all. As soon as you make a complete
whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
I'm not saying it's not their fault, but I am also looking at the actual stuff that happened and not.
And you want a better comparison? You want a better comparison? You want a better comparison? The PS3 dropped way more balls at the launch of their console. The PS3 did. And how did they come back to beat the 360 at the end of the generation? They had so many exclusives that you couldn't ignore the thing, right? I thought that's what Microsoft would do. $1 trillion company, and they can't even get out a sequel to Sunset Overdrive. They can't get out anything. They should have been hiring whoever they could to put out as many games as they could.
Sunset, bro. You know how to play.
Well, let me ask. I'm going to ask Nick a question as we move on to another
they should have
subject.
put it out, man. They should.
Well, real quick, I want to get.
They definitely should have, bro.
I want to get Nick's opinion on this. We talked about it last week, but I'm really interested because he does a lot of articles. He does a lot of editorials. And, one of the things we talked about last week, and we're not going to stay on this subject very long, Nick. I want to get your take on it, and we'll move on. Gears 5 physical sales in the UK hit roughly last week around, 23,000? And everybody turned around and they said that this was a result of the fact that Game Pass is out. But, Game Pass is not necessarily – is Game Pass really the answer here? Is that really the savior? Or is it because the marketing slipped and because they started marketing – everyone goes, wow, the marketing's been fantastic. They started marketing the game the day it came out. So, I mean, there was a lot of things that went wrong, and now we're not going to know how many people are in Game Pass. Is Gears 5 going to be all right, in your opinion, as far as total sales? Do you think that this may affect the way that they budget first-party games moving forward?
See, the thing is with the problem with the Gears 5 sales numbers is first it came out of the physical UK market, and people know the physical UK market. First of all, the physical market is slowly declining. It's not dropping like people think it is.
Right.
But slowly declining. Even Borderlands 3 dropped by, I think it was like a whopping 20-something% in comparison to Borderlands 2. But that's because people are more prone to buy digital, and in the UK, the digital market is a lot heavier than the physical market. There's a lot of factors that affect Gears physical sales being down. Marketing may have been one. I definitely think they should have kicked the marketing in like a week earlier because the Ultimate Edition came out and then marketing kicked into overdrive. I don't think that's how they should have done it. It should have been a week or two earlier to really get it in people's heads that this is coming. Like the commercials and everything have been great. I've seen it be during the NFL football games. I've seen it during that, but that should have been happening sooner.
Yes, much sooner.
Game Pass is going to have an effect. Even Matt Piscatella from NPD even stated this is the first time we've seen a game prospectively possibly dropped in sales because of Game Pass. Because let's face it, $60 to try out a game that a lot of people were on the fence about, or drop however much you have to pay for Game Pass, or if you already have Game Pass. It's kind of a no-brainer for some people. So that's obviously going to affect sales. But also, we don't know how Game Pass metrics pay out. Like, is the coalition making the same amount of money off people paying on Game Pass via engagement numbers? Like, we don't really understand. There's no direct answer to, well, if it does well on Game Pass, what does that mean for the coalition? So I definitely think sales could prospectively be down. But I think once we get digital numbers in and everything else, I think the game will be okay. I think.
And you know what, Nick? Here's the thing. What you wouldn't believe is, I'm going to go ahead and say that I completely agree with you. But here's the part that I have to emphasize. You said, I think. And this is one of the flagships for Microsoft. There was talk. You guys remember this. There was talk that Gears was going to be more popular than Halo, possibly. And now I don't think so. And if I was Microsoft, I'm still holding on dear to the fact that I think Halo is still the leader as far as the true billion-dollar franchise.
And they believe so by $500 million in development, brother.
I hope so. Listen, here's something for you, Xbot. Enrique, and I think you even might have seen this. Enrique tweeted this out, and so did Worry.
Yeah.
Enrique writes, he says, let's say I have one apple in a year.
Mm-hmm.
I add another apple. Now I have two apples. That's 100% growth. Except now I'm not telling you how many apples I have.
I know, but if you told me 2 weeks ago you had one apple, and then you came back 2 weeks later and it's like, I have 100% growth, I'm like, oh shit.
But that last number we know is 14 million from like 4 years ago. So we don't know.
I don't know what they're sharing with their investors. I go to Predator when it comes to the business side of this, and
well, we can go to Pred.
Schools me in, man.
Pred happens to be here. Pred.
Yeah, I know, right? That's weird.
Yeah, I'm here.
Fred's like, I'm here. Pred, I mean, I'll take Xbot's notion, but I've got to counter it with, you need to know numbers more relevant than 4 or 5 years ago when I get a percentage. I don't know where we left off. We weren't told.
Yeah, you're right. And like, I don't think anybody else knows either. Like, I'm sure somewhere behind the scenes, like they know the exact numbers, of course, but with the whole numbers thing, like, look at it this way. What does Microsoft get out of telling us, the consumer,
right,
what they're selling? Like, they get nothing out of that. If anything, they get more backlash because, like, it's like, oh, you only sold this many, or you only did this much. Like, I think someone mentioned this earlier. Like, they've done this the whole generation. If you haven't noticed,
right? Can I ask you a question? No, but the Wii U did awful, and they reported. So what I'm saying, though, is here's the thing. You ever see when someone at work says something and they don't do something right, and then they cover it up, then they cover up another problem, then they cover up another problem, and it becomes this big, unbelievable, sloppy mess, and you're like, why didn't you just mention the first problem? My thing is this. Because they've reneged and not want to say anything to anybody, like, it's gotten worse, hasn't it? Why not just report the numbers? Everyone's saying, there's people saying numbers that are actually lower than it is. So why not? If it's at 40, say 40. There's people reporting 28. You know, I mean, so right? I mean,
our numbers go down every month. We talk
every time an Xbox is sold, an angel loses its wings. Don't forget that, folks. Okay, so it's important to remember that. I
think in this situation, I think maybe Gears didn't do as well as they wanted it to do.
Yeah,
and they know they would have had to report those numbers for the investors. Look at the timing of this, right? Because their financial stuff comes out in the end of October.
Right.
They're saying this now. We're not going to give you that information. They're telling you that almost a month in advance. We're not going to tell you what our sales figures are and how many active users we have. And it is like they're hiding it. You know, it's like why now? Like, why not give us this in October and then go to that point? Like, okay.
Hey, you know, it was the real point where you could tell it was all total bullshit and PR was when they hyped up the Steam sales, the biggest launch on Steam forever for us, and it was like 10,000. But you know that they're so full of it, and that's exactly the whole thing. They're full of it, and they were giving this game away on Pop-Tart boxes, basically, and they could only get 3 million for their biggest franchise, their biggest release in 4 years.
Do you think they regret putting it on Game Pass?
I do personally, and a lot of people will argue with me. I said it all along. I said they should have waited 30 or 60 days before first-party games went into Game Pass, because like Xbox Xbox gave the best example ever. He said, "I'm not just a gamer. I'm a YouTube gamer that does right." No, he's right, and people watch their favorite YouTubers. I don't care how big.
I
or
watch
how small.
myself because I'm my own favorite.
I don't blame you.
YouTuber,
I
so-
can see you with just a panorama of TVs
Yes.
with just crap
Oh
gamer
my
on.
God damn! I'm on
Fucking
point right
mayonnaise.
there. Watch.
That's a
Look at
great.
that. Mm.
Imagine that
Hey,
showing. But
hey,
crap, hear me out though.
I didn't have to
It's-
do the.
it's
Hey, hold on, Pred. I haven't had to use the mayonnaise in 4
No,
years. Come on,
no.
let's be real.
Hopefully he's on the mustard. My thing is this crap. I gotta be honest with you.
No.
Right? My thing is this. I gotta tell you, when you have that, you could have double dipped. And I know the audience has heard this a couple times. Nick, I'm gonna say this pitch to you and moving on to another subject after this. When we first heard about this, one of the first things I said to Crap was I said, you know what? They should have waited and put all first-party games for PC and Xbox 30 days after, not day and date. Because it's a
They
what have
just
you done
changed
for me
their
lately?
They just changed their financial report, shifting to Game Pass as like the backbone moving forward when it comes to the Xbox.
They won't tell us.
division.
They're not going to
And-
tell
and
us.
you're
But
like-
Xbox, they won't tell us Game Pass numbers. So I don't know if that's really the backbone when they're using percentage of growth.
Dude,
And
are you invested in Microsoft?
I know people that are.
All right. Well, you should probably talk to them then and see what the hell is going on.
Well, they don't know. They don't even know what Game Pass is. My thing is this. What I'm saying to you is like, I just thought that Nick. I wanted to get Nick's opinion. Then we're moving on. What do you think about the fact of why not do this? The PC players never had access to Halo or Gears anyway. So what I'm trying to say is this: if the PC players and Game Pass, you gotta forget now we're playing Monday morning quarterback, right? Because now you know they're in their day and date. What if they came out and said, Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, all first-party games go into Game Pass 30 days after we release. What happens there is you've got all these influencers, YouTubers, streamers playing the game. People that can't wait. They don't want to wait. Look at all of us. Look at how many people took pictures of their thumb holding a Link's Awakening cartridge container today, right? Everybody had to run to the store because they wanted to get their thumb on Twitter. And it was like they had to go do that. So my whole point is this. Now you've got a situation where it's day and date. You know what? Xbox said it. I'll say it. I think, where did we all play Gears? Game Pass, right? Wouldn't it have been
Review
better for
copy.
business, right? Wouldn't it have been better for business if they waited 30 days?
Absolutely.
No.
Well, see, here's the thing: is like, I understand the point of Game Pass is a subscription model that they're rolling more money into, and Microsoft, the only growth they have discovered is their services have been going up. If you look at MPD data, their service numbers have been going up consistently. And I use service numbers as a branching statement that covers whatever money people spend in the online ecosystem.
Okay.
I'm not saying their gold numbers are going up. I'm not going to try to dive into that sort of data.
No.
So, but the thing is when you're releasing mediocre games, and like if you like what Xbox has put out this generation, more power to you. But for me, a lot of the games were kind of played it, put it down. If you're releasing those kind of games, a Game Pass model that they have right now is beneficial because people who wouldn't spend $60 on that game are going to try out your game, and then yada yada yada, it rolls down.
Become a fan.
Yeah. That's the great thing about Game Pass. But the detrimental part is when you have a game that's a guaranteed great game, people aren't going to pay full price for it anymore. And This is the same thing. It's like, I don't think PS Now is ever going to put first-party Sony games day and date.
They don't have to, right, Nick? This is what crap
They
you're
don't
saying for a long
have
time.
to
They
because
don't have to.
Look, I'm going to tell you.
Hold on. If Game Pass, for some rhyme or reason, can show a profit, and I do have concerns for Game Pass, which, when it comes down to it, you look at Netflix. Netflix is worth so much money, but when it comes down to being profitable on a year-over-year basis, they're definitely lacking in that area. So they have a very valuable subscription service, but when it comes to profits that they're raking in, it doesn't look that great. And when it comes to Game Pass as like getting into finances and stuff, that is something to worry about. But if Game Pass can show that they are making a profit, you better be damn sure with Sony and PlayStation being their backbone, and you look at their other divisions and what they're doing and how many other divisions of the Sony Corporation are actually in debt and stuff like that, they would love to expand to those 2 billion players.
Go ahead, Knox.
Let me ask you this, then, Bot, right? How long do you think that Microsoft could sustain locking down third parties with exorbitant amounts of money, right? Because in order for a game, like if a game is good, if a third party game is good, and they're gonna get $60 on the other platforms like Steam and PlayStation 4, Why the hell I'm gonna put my game in Game Pass? You know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
know. Yo, ask Capcom why they did it with
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and stuff like that.
Was their shit failing, or did Microsoft just give them an offer they couldn't refuse?
I heard 19 million.
All right, so if it's an offer, how many of those offers you think Microsoft is going to continue to be able to make?
Right.
Going down the line where this will remain profitable.
That is the interesting thing to see, because we've never seen a company go in as much on a subscription service the way that Microsoft has done with the Xbox division. So it's something that will be interesting to see as we move forward. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, it's definitely going to do this, or oh yeah, it's definitely going to do that. We haven't seen a company go in so hard on a service like this.
I think this is a service that they wanted to put out there. They threw up a Hail Mary by putting their games day and date in there, which was a big freaking mistake, in my opinion. It should have been like Mooch said. Shit, I even said 60 days out. So Mooch's fucking strategy is even more generous.
I am letting you know right now, when Scarlet comes out, and people, if they market this right, which is a very, very big question when it comes to Xbox, if they market this right and they say, brand new hardware, launch lineup, the launch lineup that we have to offer, it looks amazing and stuff like that, and you don't have to spend a single $60 at all you need is Game Pass to play all these games. It could be absolutely huge.
Let me take your super chat really quick, guys. You guys are having a great conversation. I'm actually really enjoying it. Basement Arcade Radio, shout out to Enrique. He says, CNBC tweeted a graph showing a steady decline in Xbox Live active users since 2015, 2016. And he is right. I did see that. I do have a few more here real quick. Buju Ram, he says, as gamers, why do we even care about numbers sold or numbers in general? And Buju Ram, we're going to get to that because, Xbot had that same question for us on Xbox Nation on Wednesday. You do need to be concerned to a certain extent because when there's no money, eventually, we sit here and we say, oh, Microsoft's $1 trillion company. Yeah, I get that. I got it. But the point of the matter is when investors start seeing less coming in than more going out, that will affect you in the long run, right? Emmanuel A says $9 versus $60 is an offer you can't refuse. That's the point. And then last but not least, Carlos Torres says 19 million. That's why, and he's referring to Devil May Cry's cost. So, no, go ahead, Pred. Finish your thought.
Oh, I was just saying, like you said, they'll cut that shit out, like Zune. Like, look at all the stuff they've gotten rid of in the past because it wasn't selling on Nokia and stuff like that. See, this is the thing with Microsoft. They do a lot of things first. They don't necessarily do it right. And someone else comes along. Like, look at the Kinect, right?
Right.
That was then who comes up behind them? Amazon. And that thing sells like hotcakes, so they come out the gate with these great ideals, but they don't implement it right. I think Game Pass is a great ideal. However, I don't think they're doing it the way they should be doing, like how we say, don't put it in day and date. They made that mistake and they're doing that. And I think Gears would have sold a lot better, had they not, sold it for $1 or $2, whatever the fuck it was. So they're doing, I think they have the right idea with Game Pass, but like Xbox was saying, this is something new and they're trying to figure it out how they want to implement this. They're branching out almost too much when it comes to their gaming division, where they want to put it on Steam, they want to put it on Nintendo, they want to put it in Game Pass, they want to sell it to you in stores, they want to sell you exclusive consoles, they want to do all this extra stuff. But the easy option for most people is to just not get anything because you can get it on Game Pass, you can get it on your PC, right? So why spend this money, $60 on the game, when you can just get it on your PC with a small subscription? It doesn't make any sense to most consumers who are thinking logically, financially. Like, why would I buy this game $60 if I can just get it on a subscription service for $2? So anybody with any sense would be like, I'm jumping on that shit.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I want to go back to Enrique's point and give the microphone back to Nick. Nick, you were starting to talk about something about percentages and such, and I want to get into what Enrique was talking about with CNBC, saying that the graph showed a steady decline in Xbox Live users from 2015, 2016 to current day. So how is it we see, this is what I'm saying, it kind of feels like smoke and mirrors to me, because we're seeing more money come in, as you just stated with the NPD reports. But at the same time, we've got trends showing a decline in a number of things. A decline, of course, in console sales. I mean, they hit 28,000 last month. Those are Wii U numbers. We have other charts showing a decrease in Xbox Live users. So, yes, they're making more money. But here's the thing, though. what's different when you have a small mom and pop business and you're like, in July we made $100 profit, and then in August we made 110. That'll get you by. But if you're making small percent, and if they're going to talk percentages, are we going to talk about 10, 15, 20% increases, or are we going to see 0.027 increase? Because these are the things that kind of come to play where people go, well, they're making more. Well, you got to make a little bit more than that. You know what I mean? Because even a little bit more doesn't necessarily keep the investors happy. You see where I'm coming from, Nick? The numbers do kind of they're making everything so convoluted that it's difficult to read. But we see a lot of trends going down, and yes, some are going up.
See, the thing is what Microsoft's doing right now is they got people in the ecosystem, people that buy an Xbox that have an Xbox. They're not necessarily doing a great job of selling Xboxes at this point. Let's be real here. Besides, if you don't have a PC, Gears 5 might make you pick up an Xbox. That's cool. That's great. But what Microsoft's been focusing on is instead of getting new people into the ecosystem, they've been figuring out ways to monetize people within their ecosystem. So people that used to only be Xbox Live Gold subscribers now subscribe to Game Pass, or maybe they subscribe to both. So that's how the money's going up while their user numbers are going down. Their pre-existing ecosystem is spending more money than it was. It's a temporary financial fix to a long-term problem.
Okay.
It makes them look good to their investors for this moment.
But is it smoke? So it is smoke and mirrors in essence.
In essence, anyone who takes even a basic high school business course knows that if you can't get more customers, you need to get more money out of the customers you have.
Fact.
And Microsoft is focusing on that with this generation.
And so this takes me to the Jim, what is it? Jimquisition or Jim? What's his name? Crap knows who he is.
Jim Sterling.
Jim Sterling, who was saying basically what's happening is they're kind of nickeling and diming us.
Microsoft's fault. Yeah, everything is Microsoft's fault.
That's what he said. He's saying basically what happens is now Microsoft, because they're relying on that smaller user base. That's what Nick's saying, and I agree. That in essence now they're nickeling and diming us. So yes, they'll say DLC is free. But everything except for DLC, you're paying for out of pocket. And the DLC's, where is the DLC? Are we getting DLC for Gears? Probably not.
No, see, my biggest complaint as a consumer, and this is like I have Game Pass because I play on PC and Xbox. I love it. I love the service and everything else. But what really aggravates me is nothing else, is the fact that before I could play Xbox games on my PC without having to have gold. Like my friends play Sea of Thieves with me without needing an Xbox Live Gold membership on PC. But you need that on Xbox. So the person who goes out and spends $500, or in my case, since I'm Canadian, you're paying almost $700 for a 1X.
Wow.
You have to then pay gold to play online, but someone who builds their own PC can enjoy a full Steam library, a full Epic Game Store library if they prefer that.
Well, it's open platform, man. So
yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, though, is why are you punishing the people that spend money to play on your platform? It's backwards. They need to start either charging PC gold for people to play online on the PC platform like everybody else, or they need to suck up the money and make gold free for everyone and just make online multiplayer for free, because you cannot nickel and dime the people that spend money on your actual hardware and then let the people that buy hardware from different companies such as NVIDIA, AMD, and everything else to then have free access to your platform.
Free to play games are still legitimately free to play on the PlayStation. Go ahead, Crap.
Hey, yeah, I was gonna say, imagine this. Imagine a world where they stop charging you to play free to play like everybody else. Imagine how quick their gold subscribers would drop then. I mean, remember how everybody's like they're so consumer friendly, but they're the only company charging you to play free to play games online. Even Nintendo doesn't do that. So I mean, you can imagine that they probably the most of the money they make is off of microtransactions off of Fortnite. You know what I mean? And they don't want to, they're very quiet about that.
Here's an interesting point, Crap. Carlos Crespin, he says here in the Super Chat, he says, Game Pass has made a lot of Xbox fans forget about how poorly the console is still selling. They're unknowingly starting to see Microsoft as a full third-party publisher. Sir X-Man comes in and he says, I'm looking for Sir X-Man here now. I got to find him real quick. He says, I told you Microsoft was moving too fast. That's what Nick and Crap have been saying. They've kind of juggled a few things.
Give it to Luca.
He did. He definitely did.
Give it to Luca.
Gamer O'Malley.
They're
Go
laying
ahead.
the seeds. They're like I'm noticing more and more people in my feed are like building their own PC now, right? And I think
Yes.
Microsoft likes that, right? They announced multiple new SKUs for consoles, then they backed off of that. They got one coming out. I think this might be it for them. They might just kind of go into the night and just be Xbox when they advertise it, like Gears of War 5 when they advertise it. They don't advertise for the Xbox. It's Xbox Game Pass. That's
Right.
it. It's like an app. That's what they advertise. That's where they see the money. Phil dances around when you ask him, "Hey, would you like to see Gears on PlayStation?" They dance around the questions. It's clear they're laying the seeds, the groundwork. They want those games to be on everything. The problem is that Gears of War was a great exclusive, and now that it's everywhere, literally. And what was it? What did it get them by putting it on Steam, by the way, which is a competing platform?
Not much.
10,000.
Yeah.
So it got them nothing, and basically all that does is contribute to the whole Xbox has no game stigma, and realistically, it hurts them more than it helps them because they're not really gaining anything by doing that. There's no legitimate proof that having their games on PC has actually helped them in any way whatsoever this generation. No
but that's
way.
gonna take time. But that's gonna take time to see, crap. You know what I mean? That's gonna take time to see. That you got to see in a year's time. Was it really worth it? I don't think it will be. I don't think it's gonna pan out at all. Just them putting on Game Pass just shot themselves in the foot.
Yep.
And I didn't think they picked anything up from Steam either. You know what I'm saying? But
Ga-
you still got to give them that time to see really feasible.
I can see where you're coming from with that.
Less than 2,000 on Steam playing Gears of War. Less than 2,000.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna. It's not gonna
sounds
pick up.
about
It's
right.
not.
No,
Yeah, it's not gonna pick up.
No, Gamer O'Malley
Yeah.
says they obstructed the number 3 times this gen. Xbox last quarter showed $220 million loss, hardware collapse of 48%. They're hiding the sinkhole at all costs.
Oh, that's just console fatigue. Console fatigue. I mean, oh wait, no, because they were the only one that fatigued. Gotcha. So that was just people don't want Xbox because they got no exclusives. It's going to get much worse. 15 months and nothing.
Yeah, that is a large number to deal with. The Ashley Lucas, shout out to Ashley Lucas. She says, "We've been beguiled." I hate to see it. I'm with you. Ashley Lucas is great. Let me switch subjects real quick. And crap, I'm going to start with you because I think you did a video on this, and I think that we would all agree because me and you spoke about it in the DMs too. You said, "Hey, Mooch, you think this is really going to happen?" I said, "No." PS5 is now rumored. It's rumored, guys. Please take this with a grain of salt. I don't think it's going to even happen. I think it's going to stay as a rumor. But they're saying the PS5 may launch with a basic model and then a pro model. And I'll just give my reason real quick, and then I want to give the mic to crap. Is I don't think they'll do that because these companies know if there is going to be a pro model, they're certainly going to double dip and ask for that money again 3 or 4 years from now. So I don't think a PS4 Pro model is coming out, but I will say this much. People always say show the same energy, right? I have always said since day one, Lockhart Scarlet, I'm buying a Scarlet. I remember I was giving Knox shit. I'm like, Knox, don't you dare buy a Lockhart. Remember, he said you might get one for the kids. I said, don't bother. You know, my whole point is that, so if there's a PS5 Pro and a PS5, you buy the Pro. But I don't think it's going to happen. What do you think, Crap? Or Knox?
Well, you know what? I think it's bullshit too. I don't think they're actually going to do it. I think that it makes no sense. The PS5 is supposed to do the PS5. They've already said 4K or 8K, 60, 120 frames. Like, what else could they possibly get out of a Pro at this point? It confuses people. You don't need to do it. It doesn't need to be done. There's nobody has an 8K TV. Like, literally, there's no reason to have anything like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the whole thing with Lockhart was stupid because it was 1080p 60 supposedly.
Right.
Like, we got more than that with the X. Like, why would you downgrade?
Right.
You know, like, so it never made any sense, and it's confused. And they probably realized, hey, that Crap Gamer guy, he's right. We're gonna have a Lockhart, a Scarlet, a SAD edition, S, X. You know, we're gonna have 5, 6 different things out there. That's confusing to people.
Just launch the best iteration of the system at day one, and that's it, bro. Don't.
If I were Microsoft, I would totally drop the S's and have the X and the Scarlet as the only two. Those would be the only two that I would
The
sell.
only way they would do that
do
is
that.
if the price was like super high. They expected it to be like $700 and they wanted a cheaper model. That would be the only way I would see them doing that.
Yeah,
So-
well, I wonder how expensive these things are going to be as it is. The X is still $500.
Yeah.
Yeah. It ain't
Yeah.
going down from
500.
there.
I don't think a lot of
It ain't
people are going to
down from
upgrade immediately like we did with this generation. I think, getting games at 4K 60 now, even if it's 4K 60-ish now, in going into next year. Like honestly, like I'm sticking with my X and my.
I'm getting new hardware, especially with the ray tracing ability that's going to be in both of them.
It's gonna draw everything at 30 frames. So like I just don't see the point of upgrading when I have a PC and an X right now. So like if I can play my games on my PC through my Xbox
I'm with you,
games through
Fred.
my PC, there's no sense in buying.
No freaking way. Like Microsoft hasn't proved that they can develop the software needed to warrant buying a new hardware. I'm sorry. My money's going to go to PlayStation 5 next year. That's just basically how it's going to be. They're going to announce a bunch of games with that. I believe Phil Spencer's going to get out there
Yeah,
and
because Sony is known for having a bunch of exclusives when their hardware.
Well, that's going to be that's going to be interesting to see, Xbot. You're right.
Listen, even if they don't have a ton at launch, even if they don't have but listen,
have a ton of
what's
promise.
Microsoft? Yeah, listen. Even if what's Microsoft known for? Not having any. So I mean, I'd rather have it eventually than never. You know what I mean? Axeman Phil over there with the oh man, so swoony Phil Spencer. Ooh, he's so lovely, right? Like I don't fall for that cult of personality bullshit.
Oh, neither do I.
So.
Brother.
Oh, everybody! Oh, come on! Everybody falls for that Phil
Just wait till
Spencer stuff.
E3, guys. Just wait till E3.
Just wait till E3.
One thing about
But listen,
one thing about me as a person, anybody out there, regardless of their occupation, is just a person like me, no matter what.
well, listen. Let me just say this: regardless of what happens, everybody knows that Sony's going to announce a bunch of stuff, right? They're not gonna be afraid to announce stuff. Microsoft and Phil Spencer
When
in
you're gonna
particular.
get your hands on that stuff.
Well, it doesn't matter because they get you excited about the platform, right?
So you'll get new hardware on the launch of that new hardware, not knowing exactly when you're going to get.
Well, no, listen. We already know that they're going to launch. We already know that they're going to launch. Ghost of Tsushima is going to be a cross-gen game. We know that they're going to do that. That a new IP.
Where they announce that, brother? Because that's a rumor right now. Tsushima was coming out in 2019.
Well, no, that was never going to come out in 2019. But listen, but hold on. We know because their games they're already leaking. They're that far in development. Okay, on Microsoft's side, what games have leaked besides a new Fable? Right? There's nothing, absolutely nothing is leaked because they're not at that point yet. Like you have their developers, people are like, oh, Obsidian. They're literally haven't even launched their game yet. And then they're going to start making something else. So you're years away. Like their teams are so far away from doing anything. It's ridiculous. And people think they're going to announce some huge megaton of exclusives at launch. No, you're going to get a Halo. Phil Spencer thinks Halo's the shit and that's going to sell Xboxes. That's what he's doing.
Well, I'll tell you this much, though. I want to go back to what Xbox said a second ago. Xbox, the one thing that you said, and it's funny because now that we see the way that Microsoft in the past 2-3 years has changed their tune with not showing anything until it's just about ready to come out, I hate
that. I hate that.
Right, exactly. And let me just say, I want to make a comment because I'm guilty too. I'm guilty of it. Okay, we made fun of how Sony would kind of advertise their games for 2-3 years out and then not give us those games. So Xbox, I don't blame you for saying what you said, but moving into next generation, if Sony comes out and shows me 2 or 3 of their major titles coming out from their big companies, and I know they're coming out, but I don't know when, I'm still going to be amped and excited to put my money down on a console that can play those versus Phil being like, or I shouldn't blame just Phil, but Xbox in their new policy saying basically, I'm not going to show you anything that's not within 12 to 16 months out. That's a problem because there's pushbacks, there's delays. You may not see games, like right now, you don't see games forever. And it's not a good philosophy. It's really not.
Brother, and guess what? I've been in that seat right next to you, man. You've been driving out.
Absolutely.
I'm co-pilot on that. Like when it comes down to it, I've always felt that you got to let people know that when you invest in their platform, whether or not it crosses multiple devices, you got to let them know that there is life beyond that 18 months or so. That that 2-3 years down the line, they have this in production. This is in development and stuff like that. There is a fine line there, but like we also can't dismiss the fact that Sony is known for launching hardware and showing games and then delaying them 4 or 5 times. So we can't say that the grass is greener on the other end and dismiss like trends and stuff. If we're looking at trends for 2-3 years when it comes to the Xbox platform, then we got to look at trends 2-3 generations with the Sony platform. I mean, let's be real.
Well,
But
I mean,
Sony's delivered every generation. Microsoft
they have,
hasn't.
and that's something that we talked about on Xbox Nation that I think we kind of brushed by so quickly. The Wii U came out this generation, right, guys? Came out in 2012. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they pulled it off shelves. They immediately went back to R&D, and they righted the ship, all within the very same PS4, Xbox One generation. And now they're about to lap Xbox One within the same generation. PS3 started off awful. It was abysmal.
Oh, yeah.
They were $200 over the cost of the Xbox product. They came out, they kind of insulted the consumer on stage. They didn't have very many games, etc. What did they do? They go back to the drawing board, lower their price, come out with a plethora of games. They ended the PS3 with The Last of Us. Yeah.
Check this out. And I'm not saying I agree with this though. I'm not saying I agree with this, but when you look at Sony and you look at Microsoft, we all agree that PlayStation is the backbone for the Sony corporation.
But it wasn't in the PS3 era.
Well,
it wasn't. It wasn't. They had phones, TVs, the real estate. They had all that. They sold that in the beginning of this generation.
They just came off the PlayStation. They were seeing a decline through last generation when it came to their other
that's fine.
assets,
That's
other
fine.
divisions and stuff like that. So when it came down to it, there was a certain amount, and
Right.
I'm talking financially. I'm not talking as a gamer.
No, I hear
here.
you. I hear you.
There was absolute urgency to turn that ship around, no matter what. Like
Well,
there was that red light.
I don't
flashing
disagree,
at
but let
Sony
me tell you
for-
something. That was a major feat accomplishment that they went and
it was
they cut
incredible.
the fat and they really they put their money right where it had to go, and now they're doing great. Let me just do this. I want to read the super chat from Eternal Shaddai, and then Nick, I want to ask your point on this because we haven't gotten your take on the PS5 Pro rumor. Eternal Shaddai says if Sony decides to release two different consoles that will repeat of the 1980s console era, too many consoles for consumers to decide because now Nintendo will have a Lite version too soon, which is today actually. Too many. Nick, what's your take on the PS5 Pro rumor? Do you think it holds water, A, and B, is it flooding the market with SKUs?
Okay, so I don't know what the profanity. I don't know what the. But so first of all, if Sony actually launched with 2 SKUs, they'd be fucking dumb to do that.
Absolutely.
I said the same thing when Microsoft was doing we have 4 different SKUs rumor. I was like, no, don't do that. Second of all, what I want from Microsoft and Sony, I don't want this mid-generation refresh bullshit.
Thank you.
If you're going to charge me for the console, if you're going to charge me $600 for the console as the entrance fee, I want that console to last me 6 years. And the thing is they have I think even PlayStation, and PlayStation's even said this when they said they were going to support PS4 into 2021, is I think PlayStation understands, even with how hardcore their base is, it's hard to sell a console, a next generation console, when we just got Pros and X's a year and a half, 2.5 years ago. And we're seeing games at 4K, 60 FPS-ish, as was previously stated. It's going to be a hard sell to be like, hey, you get a couple extra if you drop $600. That's a hard sell. Like, this isn't like when we jumped from 360 and PS3 to PS4 and Xbox One. We're not seeing those jumps anymore. It's going to be the small details and what kind of games they can put out there. I think even with the amazing games that Sony puts out, they're going to have a hard time getting people off of the PS4. They're going to have to do some really good marketing and have a really good launch lineup. And back to Xbox point as well, is Microsoft and Sony stereotypically do not launch consoles with a great amount of games. Like the fact that this is the fact Halo Infinite's launching Scarlet is the first time Halo's launched an Xbox console since the original Xbox blows my mind.
I'll tell you something, though, Nick.
My mind.
The reason I think that's happening, though, I don't think that was originally going to be the schedule. I really think that Halo 5, that did so bad, and I know Xbox, please don't get me wrong. I don't mean the multiplayer. I don't mean the multiplayer.
Oh, dude, I'm sending the horse head to your house.
No,
right now.
no, don't do it. Listen, my point. No, I'm with you because the multiplayer was phenomenal. But I mean, I just want to say, I think Halo 5. You could see they went back to the drawing board, Nick. And that's the point. I think when they went back, they gave the studio more time, a lot more money, and they said basically, take your time. And the way that the clock kind of ran out was like, okay, you're going to be perfect for our launch. We never thought we'd be able to have that because hypothetically, Halos were shipping every 3 years, right? So
Yep.
we would have got Halo in 2018 if it got bumped. We would have got it this year. So they wouldn't have held it if it was ready. The thing is, it wasn't ready. They had to go back to the drawing board. They got the whole new engine, etc. We know that. But my next topic here ties into this one, and I'll start with Nick, and then I'm going to go to Knox. It says here, we were saying, you just made a great point, and you got the whole chat going right now, Nick, where you said, I don't want a mid-gen refresh. Take that and, as King says, stick that in the bushes, because I got to be really honest with you. He's right with that, because here's my whole thing. Why do we want to all as consumers pay $500 again in 2.5, 3 years? What I'm a little pissed off right now is, why aren't the developers utilizing the power of the Xbox One X? You've got the Surge 2, you've got Control, and you've got Borderlands 3. 3 big games this fall. All where the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X are completely and utterly the same across the board on resolution and frame. And that, to me personally, it kind of sucks. And we all went out and put $500 down on this box. And I think that we all know this, right? The reason that this is happening is there's not enough consumer base on Xbox's side. So they're definitely not going to make or put more effort into the Xbox One version when the money is being spent on the PS4. I mean, does that hold water, Nick? I mean, these are 3 big titles.
Nick's like, damn, you went to me first on this one?
I know, right? Well, I mean, there's 3 huge titles, and they're all, I think, when in the case of Borderlands, I think we're talking about 1800p, 30 frames, I think. I know there's a performance mode. I get that. Things can vary slightly here and there. Digital Foundry did an analysis. Control, the same, 1800. It was like they didn't. It did not much going on here as far as.
Dude, you got to dive deeper though. What about the texture resolutions? What about what type?
Actually,
of
I take that back. I want to take that back before the audience
saying?
gets on me. I want to take that back real quick. The Control game, I forgot. Control actually did have a higher reso boost. Had a higher resolution boost than the PlayStation, but the Surge 2 is reportedly not, and that's coming out soon.
Look, I'm going to put it this way, and it may come off harsh. You're going to hate me, and half the chat's for saying this. The reason why some third-party games are not optimized on the X is because there's not enough X's out there for a third-party developer to give a crap
That's
to
the answer.
optimize it.
That's the answer.
Because let's face it, we don't know how many X's are out there. Microsoft doesn't share that number. I know a good majority of people with X's because, let's face it, if you're rocking the OG Xbox One, that is rough these days, okay? So, like, if a third-party developer doesn't optimize for the X, or even, like, look at Sony as well. Like, how long did we not get Pro patches for some games after the Pro came out? That was a major complaint with the PS4 Pro. Is like, why doesn't this game have a Pro patch? Like, why did Bloodborne never get a Pro patch? Why didn't this game have a Pro patch? Because they're not the dominant sales market. And a third-party developer isn't going to go and put extra effort in for one platform that's only going to account for a very marginal percentage of their sales. Now, your first-party developers should be optimizing the hell out of their games, and they should look absolutely flawless on every tier of system that you offer. Period. End of story. And that's just where it is. It's like the reason why like when people get angry on Twitter and they drum up the whole, why isn't this optimized on the X? It should run on the X. This is why I bought an X.
Well, I mean, but they're not wrong though. They're not wrong, and that's why we got to get rid of these mid-generation refreshes, especially if Sony's even considering trying to drop it simultaneously. That'll be just ridiculous. That'll be stupid. First off, my opinion is this: you put the best iteration of the hardware, the best version of that hardware, the most powerful version at that time that can last for at least 5 to 6 years. Then, if you want to revamp the console, make it economy friendly, and you know what I mean, like make it cheaper and shit, you go that route, the traditional way. This whole mid-generation refresh, it didn't even serve its purpose because they weren't taken advantage of. You saw no benefits. You paid more money. The systems were capable of more, but you rarely see it. You rarely see it taken advantage of.
100% accurate.
And another thing, if you remember with them talking about the X when it was released and stuff like that, you notice that Xbox Division, they came out and said, even if there isn't a patch out for it, this system is the best place to play that game, because even on the hardware level, it's just going to run the game better. It's going to make the game look better, even without any type of patch for it. So they were kind of gearing up for the case that, where if multi-plat developers, third-party developers, didn't utilize the system, it was still pretty much the best place to play that game. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I mean, I do think that, I think consumers, I can only speak for myself, but I don't think that if they end up trying to pull a mid-gen refresh again, I don't think I'm buying in on it. I just don't. And I think that this generation is the only time you're going to see that happen.
Mooch, you better watch out, man. People will pull this episode out, you know what I'm saying, like 4 or 5 years from now.
They can pull it out. They're not going to pull my wallet out. So,
I think you're gonna do it.
You know what? We gotta stop. We gotta stop that mentality too. I said this years ago. We gotta stop this mentality where you can't. I say this all the time. Xbox in 2013 is not the same Xbox of 2019. Right? Everyone will agree with that. If they can change their mind, I can change my mind.
Absolutely.
Right? And I mean, and let me tell you something. There's consumers in line. Have you ever been in line at McDonald's and you're with your buddy and he's like, "I'm gonna get a number 2. I'm gonna get a Big Mac large fry." All of a sudden, he gets up, and they're like, "What can I get for you?" He's like, "I'll take a number 5 and an apple pie." What happened? What happened? All of a sudden, you want a fillet of fish? Listen,
do you know
come
what
on.
number 5 is, though?
I have no idea. I just wanted to say fillet of fish real quick on a podcast. Listen. Okay? Like, if they can change their mind in 3 steps to the cashier, I can change my mind after 2.5 years of not being persuaded enough this generation.
I'm just saying, like, if I'm going by, because I've been on this show, and I'm listening because, you got Moochonomics and everything.
Oh, we're getting into that real quick before the end of the show.
You built up the whole Moochonomics and everything like that. I'm like, you know what? If they ever announce a mid-gen refresh for the PS5 and the Scarlet, Mooch will find some way to be like, "Hey, guys, you should probably go out and get this, and here's why." I can hear it coming,
listen, there's always value.
On that custom box.
There's always value. I mean, you have to find the value in it. I just said this earlier too, okay? If you're going to go ahead, and I'll switch it over to that, actually, is talking about the Switch Lite and talking about what's going on with that. Right now, that's the segue. It's a great segue, to be honest with you. Thank you, Xbox.
You segue better on here, Xbox, than you do on your own channel.
Dude, I can't talk on my channel, man. You heard it.
That's awesome.
I can't do it.
But I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you. So let's look at it this way. So my kids, they have a 3DS, right, with the big screen and the whole thing. And I got them even the Zelda edition, right? It's the gold one. I got them that. They don't use it. Right now, GameStop is offering $100 for that thing, right? And they probably got about 10 little tiny, whatever, those cartridges that go into the side of it. All the Mario games. Those things are probably worth a gold coin. Like, because nothing in Nintendo ever reduces in value. So you take
they
that.
Never put it on sale.
I can literally. I got them right there. They're right in front of me. I got the whole thing. It's in pristine condition. I could probably walk in with that 3DS, walk out with a Switch Lite and 2 games, and not even take my wallet out. That's Moochonomics. You have to know when to trade them and when to keep them. It's the way it is. I literally walked in today. I had Horizon Zero Dawn I got digitally, right? So I had that. I had the physical copy that I got when it first came out. I had Crash Bandicoot, which I told crap I'd never play in a million years. I took those 2 games back because I've literally been sitting on them, using them as coasters. I brought those back. I had a gift card. I walked out with that Switch thing that you hold as it kind of takes your Switch and puts it in a holder, makes it really easy for your hands to kind of hold it like an Xbox controller almost. And Zelda for $15. You got to know when you go in and when you're not to. Now, listen, that's an odd thing right there. I had a gift card. But my point being is you got to know when to trade up and when to trade down. You see some people, like, in Xbox, you're a good example. You got rid of your PS4 just randomly. There was no trade-in. You were like, I just don't want it.
Well, dude, and I constantly say the reason why, and people get so
Oh, no,
mad.
you're okay for the reason you don't want to play it. But what I was saying to you is, why not wait to trade it in when you can get something for it?
I got something for it. I traded in straight cash, homie.
You know the cash. A cash deal at GameStop?
He got liquid.
Yeah.
A cash deal at GameStop. You walk in and ask for cash, it's almost like you got to meet the guy in a trench coat in the back wearing sunglasses. Here's
Yeah,
$8. Get out of here.
When you say, yeah, I want cash for it, they look at you like, really? Oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah, they're like,
And all
oh
of a sudden-
boy, not this guy.
Subscription to a magazine? You sure you don't want to extend?
Sure you don't want to be a pro member again?
You know when you trade this in, if you do store credit, you're gonna get so many more 1,000 points. And so I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you.
What do you think? And again, I'll go to our special guest here, Nick. Nick, what's your take on the Switch Lite? Is it worth trading in
Brother,
any
just
of your?
real quick.
Go
I'm
ahead.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt, but guys, I gotta go pick up my kids right now. Yo, it has been
Xbot
an
awesome,
awesome
buddy.
show, man.
Great show. Let me just
Absolutely
promo you
awesome.
real quick, guys. Check out Xbot448 on Twitter. He's got the next podcast tomorrow. Is it 7 o'clock, Xbot?
Tomorrow, 7 p.m., bro.
Awesome, buddy. Go ahead, do a plug.
Yeah, every Saturday on my channel is the next podcast. If you want to go in and check out, some awesome production value, as well as, an awesome gaming panel with Predator, with Nox, my brother K Mega, and I, plus newest member Crispy Bomb as well. Definitely check it out on my channel every Saturday, 7 p.m. Thank you, Mooch.
Awesome, buddy. Listen, say hi to Mel for us, and I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you, Xbot.
Thank you, brother. Everybody, don't let up on Crap or Mooch and keep it going, people.
Yeah, believe me, they don't. But thanks for that encouragement.
Xbox is the worst box.
Oh,
I am
man.
the best spot. Later, everybody.
See Xbox. But Nick, what do you think about this? So one of the things that's going on is there's the OG Switch currently. You could trade in. I believe they're still doing that deal all the way until the end of September, where you can get the new Switch, not the Lite, but the new Switch that has an extended battery life to it. Or you could take any of these other consoles, switch it in for, they're giving unbelievable trade-in value right now for PS4, the vanilla PS4, the day one Xbox, to get a Switch Lite. They're doing unbelievable deals. Is there anything that you could see yourself switching up for to get into the Switch family?
See, I'm one of those people, I like my hardware, like I do not let it go. Like, I still got my N64. Like, I do not let my hardware go.
So we found it. You have a museum in your house.
I sold my PS3. I still have my R2D2 Xbox 360 in a closet somewhere.
Wow.
Like, I hold on to my stuff. Like, I still have my Vita. I love my Vita. I refuse to trade in my hardware. Games, I'm a little bit different with.
Okay, so Nick, wait, I have a question for you because I have remorse here, okay? I didn't have a Vita. I got the very first, like the week it came out, I got a PSP, and I returned it. Right? Pred, did you have one too?
Yeah, I had a PSP.
I returned it because, it kind of, the screen on it was beautiful, but everything just didn't work, and it was clunky, and it never connected to Wi-Fi right, and I could see you holding your Vita. Would you have held on to your PSP?
No. I look, that thing, I always make jokes about that the Joy-Cons were made for the children's
Oh my God. How bad was that little thing? That was like a little chiclet.
I was like, damn, when the PSP came out, I was probably God, I was still in junior high probably. I'm sitting there made for? Who is this made for? I couldn't get down with PSP. I like the Vita. What I love about the Vita is being able to lay in bed and stream stuff from my PS4 to my Vita because I'm lazy and I can't bring myself to sit on my couch and game. So I lay down and game. Lazy man problems 101. But I want to Switch Lite. There's too many games on that thing now. I sat there when the Switch came out. I was like, this is dumb. No one's going to buy this. People can look at I made videos. I was like, this is the dumbest thing that's ever been made. I was like, wow, did I ever miss that by a long shot? And now I'm sitting here man, I could probably trade a couple of games and get Switch Lite at a pretty decent price. I just want to smack my hand and call myself an idiot. I'm so
tempted. And guys, chime in if you want here. I'm so tempted. Literally, like I said, I've got that I'm when the minute you go ask the kids, you say, hey, you guys don't use this. The minute you say that, they look at it like it's like the cup of the Lord. They're like, no! Don't trade that in. And I'm like, you haven't touched it in a year and a half.
Hey, Mooch, don't. You Stadia. It's right around the corner. xCloud, right?
Oh, don't get me started. You got another hour, crap?
No.
Oh, come on. I got
5 minutes.
No.
Hey, guys, I'm not just a client of Stadia. I'm also a founder. It's a great slogan.
I know, but hey, you know what? You want to switch and you want it to carry with you because it's got great exclusives.
Fact. Absolutely, crap. It really. I'll be honest with you. I can't wait. It's so funny. So a lot of times you say, after the podcast, we go out back, you start a fire. How cool is it that I can actually take the Switch back there, play Link's Awakening, and chill out by the fire? It really is a cool concept. And I said I bought that thing. It's not the Satisfy. It's actually the one. It's the one that Satisfy kind of knocked off of. I got the Nintendo one. It's a little bit more, but it comes with a carrying case. And it's really nice because you put it in there and it makes it crap. This is what takes it. Me and crap, we dock ours 90% of the time. I'm not a portable guy. I'm actually the opposite of Nick. Nick, the minute you get a little bit older, once you lay down on the couch and you start the game, it's called sleeping. So you immediately start falling asleep. So the problem is right now, I got this because I want to start doing portable play, but portable play with those Joy-Cons, it's just not, something's not right. It's just not right. This gives you that grip on the side, now moves your hands out, and when your hands are on the thumbsticks, it gives you that feel like you're almost playing like a 360 controller. So I'm hoping that's going to help me want to play this thing on the move a little bit more, because right now I'm playing it always docked, and every time I go to play a Nintendo game docked, you know what's right next to it? My Xbox One X and PS4 Pro! And I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I playing this when I can play those two great things?
Yeah.
Right. So there's so much.
I have the problem with that too, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did we lose Nick? Oh, Nick, that's right. Nick had to leave at a certain time as well. Did we lose Nick? Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that heads up. All right, well, I'll do a shout out and I'll plug Nick. I forgot 9 o'clock. Everybody has to kind of crap. You know me. I said if crap brought up Stadia, I could have went till about 11:30. So
I know. Hell no, man. I got shit to do tonight.
Jay, leave those up for a second. Shout out to Nick Downey for being here. He's with, like I say, Tick Podcast. He's you see all his credentials right there on screen. Undead on Twitter. He's awesome guy. Great guy. We always talk behind the scenes, and it's been so awesome to be able to get him on the show. Hopefully he'll join us again real soon. Everybody, him and Xbot had to leave early, and I forgot about that. That's my apologies. Once I get on a rant, you guys know how Mooch goes. Let me go in reverse order here. We'll do our exits. Outstanding show tonight. Amazing chat. Thank you guys for the super chat. Guys, while you're here, please do hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Let's get Mooch up to 9,000. Will you? We've been waiting a couple years. Let's do something here. That being said, let me go in reverse order and say, Noximus, Nox, I hope you don't have to work tonight, buddy, because
man,
you've been busting your hump, buddy. I hope you get a night and a couple days to just chill, game, have a couple of drinks.
No, yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, man, that's why I was like, yo, I'm all night, man. Last night. It was insane. But a great freaking show, bro.
Great!
Awesome panel. Yeah, fuck, it was great.
Absolutely.
It was awesome, man.
People know where they can find you, brother.
Here, man. Yo, right here on YouTube, man, and Nox We Trust, man, just finished that Gears. So I'm gonna remake the last episode. It was Nox episode 32. I paused it and shit because I'm like, you know what? I want to finish it before I really put it out there. So yeah, I'm gonna do that this week. And Xbox Nation on Wednesdays. The next podcast on Saturdays right here on YouTube. You know, at DNox on Twitter. You know, I give it up.
That's what I'm talking about. And then I got my buddy Predator H2O. Pred, what do you? Not only where can people find you, but what are you actually gaming right now? There's a lot of betas. There's a lot of stuff out there, and every time I see you or I talk to you, you're not doing the norm. Like everybody's like, "Oh, I'm doing this," and you're like, "Yeah, that's great," but there's a beta out, and I'm checking out this over here. What's the deal with that?
Actually, I've been playing a lot of Borderlands lately, and so I've been liking that. It's my first time getting into Borderlands series, so playing with some gamers that actually know what they're doing, so that's been pretty fun. I just downloaded Zelda Link's Awakening for my PSP. See what you guys did to me for my fucking Switch, and then a little bit of Call of Duty maybe later on tonight. Or so Predator H2OS on Twitter, Xbox Live on Tinder and MySpace, and make sure you guys check out the next podcast tomorrow. I'm sure we have some interesting topics for you guys.
Appreciate that, Pred. Thanks so much for being here. And then I've got my co-host on M&C show that'll be great. This upcoming Sunday is going to be so much banter going back and forth. Crap, let everybody know where they can find you this weekend.
Crappy reviews. Let's go.
Okay, there's Crap.
On his PlayStation.
Go, right?
On my PlayStation.
On his PlayStation,
Play some VR.
Crab's left arm is hurt from holding it up to the window and shit, man. You gotta go.
I'm gonna do a quick
Good
self
show
plug.
tonight.
Awesome show tonight, guys. Thank you for everybody. I'm just gonna do a quick Twitch.tv. Guys, I'm doing something fun. I want to try. Jay just reminded me we kind of did it yesterday when we were doing some things. Whenever somebody says something's great or not so great with a game, I'm gonna start doing a Mooch Mythbusters on literally Twitch and just see how it goes. So if someone's like, this doesn't work when you do that, let's check it out. So I'm going to try and see if that works out. Stay tuned for that. I'll advertise it. Those will be here in a couple and few far in between kind of shows. But we've got an M&C show this upcoming week on my channel, the Mook78. I saw a couple of you guys. Shout out to you guys who just hit the subscribe button. Keep hitting that. If you're hearing it later, hit the like button. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Go Cowboys.
Go Giants.
No.
Let's go Jets.
Oh, shit.